Oh, hey, it's Jim Cerone, the perfect host on DJNTV. Get your pencils ready because we're about to go into the classroom and learn a little bit about music programming. We have pickets in the music room and a moron marketing tip from Seth Godin. That's coming up next. You're watching The Perfect Host Show. I'm Jim Cerone on DJNTV. The reason we're in the classroom this week is we're going to learn some secrets of radio programming. And that's why we're at this undisclosed location, because I'm about to reveal some very, very top secret things that the radio world doesn't want you to know. And what's funny is that the radio world will soon be gone. It's being taken over by Spotify and Pandora and YouTube, etc., etc. As a radio station music director, program director, on-air personality, I learned some lessons. One of the first things is, when you walk in the studio, you leave your music tastes outside that door, because none of the listeners care what you like. They only care what they like, and they like what they know. My first professional radio job in a big city was the coveted 2 a.m. to 5:30 a.m. shift.
What does all of this have to do with your dance floor? Hold on, we're getting there.
Here are the ways that radio stations decided what to play. The first thing that we used is the request line. We literally had a sheet of paper in the studio, and as a jock, you were supposed to write down what the listeners were requesting, and then usually an intern, an unpaid intern, would tally those at the end of the week, and we would have a request list report. The other way is something called call-out research. Call-out research was usually brought to the radio station by a consultant. You've heard the phrase, those that can do, those that can't coach. Well, those that could be good on the air and could program radio stations did that, and those that couldn't were consultants. The consultant would bring this package to town. They would do call-out research and an auditorium research, and okay, what are all these things? Call-out research was just what it sounds like. They had a bank of people working the phones, trying to call listeners and asking if they would participate in a study that would help the radio station decide what to play. You never knew exactly how qualified the people they were talking to were, but they were supposed to answer questions and listen to, get this, 30 songs at a time. Now, we get antsy when we're on the phone for longer than 3 minutes today, but imagine sitting on the phone for 20 minutes, a half an hour, 45 minutes, listening to hooks. Yeah, I kind of like that song. No, I don't like that song. No, I'm tired of that song. No, I want to hear that song more. That was basically what these call-out people would do. Then we would get a report from the consultant each week, breaking down the call-out research into a whole bunch of columns. This was the burn factor, and this was the like factor, etc., etc., etc. And from that, we would decide whether to move a song up or move a song down, or drop a song completely in our rotations. So we're going to talk about rotations here in a minute. You in the back, what was that you said? Oh, you want to know what auditorium tests are. Okay. The call-out research was something you would do either weekly or every 2 weeks. An auditorium test is something each radio station would do either every 6 months or every year. And the reason it was called an auditorium test is because you would try to recruit people to come sit in an auditorium and once again, listen to hooks of songs. This time, 500 hooks. How do I know about all this? Guess who got to prepare all the hooks? After all those people sat in that auditorium, listened to all those songs, you would get another report from the consultant. This one was called the Auditorium Test results, and it would rank songs according to popularity, like, don't like, tired of, want to hear more, and you would decide your gold and recurrent library based on the results of that auditorium test. And that would be all until the consultant came to town again next year.
Now let's talk rotations. Your call-out research helps you decide what current songs to play. Your auditorium tests help you decide what recurrent and gold songs to play. But now you have to figure out how to play them. That's where rotations come in. And we would use a format clock. Literally a clock, and in those days we used to use colored stickers to tell us current, recurrent, gold. And you would just rearrange those format clocks so that the music would rotate properly. Here's why. If you get up at the same time every day and you're a listener of the radio station, they don't want you to hear the same song at the same time every morning. So this format clock would be one way on Monday and a different way on Tuesday, and a different way on Wednesday, and a different way on Thursday. And then do that for every hour all day long. The dance floor, remember, if you learned as a DJ in a club situation, you might have been taught to mix in sets. You play one style of music, you slowly build the beats per minute, and that's how you program, right? I came from the radio side, and so I think of mixing a whole different way. I will jump from genre to genre and from current to recurrent to gold. Think of your dance floors in this way. In segments, what you want to do is make sure that you're playing the right music at the right time for the right audience. So think of the first segment at a wedding, for example. Grandma's still there. Nobody's left yet. In that first segment, you want to rotate the music so that there's something for everybody, whether it's a new song, a current, or a recurrent song, a song that's been out in the last 6 months to 3 years, or a gold song. And we talked in a previous episode about relevancy, how you decide those songs. As the night wears on, you get a little more current and you play a little less gold. And maybe you play fewer ballads. As you get to the third segment, maybe you're mostly current. You have your little format clocks that you might use. Now, I could geek out about this and talk to you all day long about rotations and programming and textures. And we used a program in radio called Selector, incredibly intricate program with all kinds of variables. But what I'm asking you to do for your dance floors is to kind of keep an open mind about the way you program, especially if you learned to mix in sets. Remember, we're dealing with very impatient audiences now. They don't want to wait through a set to hear their song. So those are some radio programming secrets, and because I've had to reveal those to you, I must now put on my disguise. We'll go into the music room next.
DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
The Perfect Host Show on DJNTV. I'm Jim Cerone, and now we're in the music room. I want to read you a passage. Like Mike Walter, I always have a highlighter when I read, and we'll talk about this book in just a minute, but let me give you one line. Our hits aren't hits anymore, not like they used to be. I think we've reached the end of massive top 40 hits that everybody in the audience knows. There have been so many songs that came out this year that didn't make it. We talked about that in a previous episode. But that may be it. There may never be another Uptown Funk or Can't Stop the Feeling or Party Rock Anthem or Dynamite. Those days may be over. And that may mean our dance floors are going to get harder and harder to keep full if we don't have great new current dance songs. Is anybody in the music industry listening? Somebody please make a song over 120 beats per minute that's easy to sing along that everybody wants to hear, please? One pick hit this week. There's a new Mark Ronson Miley Cyrus you should hear. You'll probably get requests for it, but I'm not sure it's going to help us on the dance floor. The other funny thing is in the top of the iTunes chart, these are songs that people are buying and downloading. In the top 10 this week, Baby It's Cold Outside. Your moron marketing tip next. DJNTV, the Perfect Host Show. Jim Cerone. Time for one quick moron marketing tip, and you've already seen the book. Try that again. Maybe I can do it without covering up his name. The book is This Is Marketing. The author, Seth Godin, who also wrote Purple Cow and Meatball Sunday. You should read those if you haven't already. But one of the most fascinating things in this book, Seth says, sometimes you have to say to your client, it's not for you. Not everyone is your client, but that really took me by surprise. Thinking it's not for you, meaning I didn't make this for you. You create a business that appeals to a very small, very targeted group of people. Some of those people are not in your target. And in your head, you wouldn't say this to them, but you say to yourself, this is not for you. I had a client once who sat me down and said, we don't want you to talk at all. And we also want to do all the formalities at the beginning to get all that traditional stuff out of the way. And we'll be giving you a list of every song in order. I wish I had known the phrase, it's not for you. That's the end of this episode. I'm Jim Cerone. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. The Perfect Host on DJNTV.